Hi guys, good evening to everyone. I hope you can hear me. Do let me know if my is there any issues in my audio, if it is blurry or if it is echoing. And welcome to the workshop. So we had kept you waiting for quite some time. Thank you. Wonderful. So as you know, coronavirus has kept us at home, and this is how we are operating from since the past 1 year. And frankly, we have all got adjusted with working from home. Okay, so do not treat this as a webinar because this is not exactly a webinar. This is actually a class, and the whole thing of keeping it for about 3 to 4 days is because we wanted to give you value. Okay, we just don't want to give you some knowledge or some concepts at a very broader level, at a very basic level. We want to actually teach you something, right? And at the end of this practical finance course, you will appreciate the time that you've spent. Okay. So first of all, welcome everyone. I hope as people will keep on joining. Okay. So we have about 9 minutes before we actually begin. I want you to get hold of the Google Drive folder. If in case you have not received that, do ping us on the chat box and we'll send you the link again. Okay, and for some reason, if you're not able to actually, even if the link is not opening, do let us know. And those are the Excel file for today. And you can clearly see, if you actually look at that folder, it does not look as if it's a webinar because it's not. It's a proper class. Okay. And this is the second season we are running for Practical Finance. And the first season was fantastic. We got an amazing response, uh, for our free course. And also a lot of people joined since because most of the time what happens is when we understand finance, we get a very macro level understanding of how things work. After practice 1 month program. So I want you to sit back and you know do all the activities which I will be showing you with me. And trust me, at the end of the workshop, you will be satisfied with the decision to spend the time with us. So I'm just gonna quickly switch off my camera for some time as people keep on joining in. I just thought of coming and saying hello to people who have already joined in. And I'll see you back in another 5 to 6 minutes again. All right. All right. So it's 7 a.m. 7 p.m. Sorry, my mistake. It's time to start the workshop. And I was talking to a couple of people before actually the rest of you joined. And I'm sorry, I'll just introduce myself again. My name is Alan Arvindan, and I'm a CFA charter holder. I co-founded investment trading. Run an education company before, and right now I am training for MentorMe. All right. So if you have any questions during this workshop, and also a couple of days in the future where we will be interacting, uh, please do feel free to connect. I guess I'm already there in your in your WhatsApp group, Practical Finance Season 2. I'm sure the recent messages which were sent from my number. So if in case anyone would like to reach out to me with any questions, okay, it does not really have to be just related to just the workshop. It can also be about career advice, career planning, anything related to trading. Please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to assist you. All right. And as I was just telling a couple of people, uh, I think I was talking to Karan and I'm not really sure because so many participants lists have come up now. Can't really make out. But I was speaking to them that this is actually not a webinar. This is an actual class. Okay. So do not just treat this as that all those webinars which have been happening post COVID on various knowledge sessions and various products. It's not. It's actually a class, and that's the reason why it's so extended. I mean, we have extended the entire workshop for about 3 days, and we have given a personal time to make sure that you guys learn the best content. Okay, in finance. Okay, and finance as we know it is, I mean, most of us, including me, when I was completed my graduation, was more of theoretical stuff where we've all learned everything on paper and nothing really in practice. But trust me, uh, for me, at least once the practical aspect of finance is what I started understanding, uh, not only did I succeed in my career, not only did I get the right positions, got the right opportunity, but also increased my personal wealth. Okay, and increase my personal wealth to a level where you can actually have a choice whether somebody wants to actually do a job or not. So I'm about 32 right now, but I have the financial freedom to choose and come and teach you, right? And so that is what practical finance can do for you, all right? And what we're going to teach you is not going to just be applicable for your interviews, not just going to be applicable for your overall understanding of finance, but it's going to help you a long way in planning your personal finances. All right. So that being said, I think everybody has the Google Drive folder link, which I personally had posted on Facebook and WhatsApp. So please open it quickly. All right. And in the folder, you would be able to see there are 4 Excel files. Okay. I want you to download the zero level Excel part 1. Okay. Let me just quickly show you what the nomenclature. We've tried to keep the nomenclature in that way so that it's pretty identifiable. So if you see my screen out here, there are 4 files out here. I want you to download all of them, but for now, we're going to get started with basics of Excel. So I want you to open up zero level Excel part 1. Okay. Now, do not get bogged down that why am I teaching you Excel? The reason why I'm teaching Excel is because even in my full-time course, I assume that people don't know anything. Okay, and you have to come with a clear mind. Yeah, you might have used Excel in 10 different ways. But if you come with some preconceived notions about any concept, you will stop the learning from happening, right? So what I want you to do is come with an open mind for learning, and I'm sure a lot of things which you even which I show you in Excel part one will be a little surprising for you that okay, we never thought from this perspective, right? So that is what we're trying to build up today here. Okay, so let's open up that zero level, and as we do that, I'll also click on that and start the class. Okay, so I think everybody can see my screen, right? Uh, this class has to be very interactive. Okay, so I'll just keep on telling you to put certain statements in the chat box, so I actually come to know that you are following. So before we start, just about 30 seconds to go. Type in ready if you're ready with your Excel. Okay, just type ready in your chat box if you're ready to go. Okay, thank you. Wonderful. So I've got 4 confirmations that 4 people are ready to go. If anybody joined in late, open up your Google folder and download Excel part 1. Okay, zero level Excel part 1. Okay, and we're going to come directly in that Excel. I'm going to skip all the boring part and we're going to come directly to relative referencing. Okay, because this is the stuff which matters. Trust me, I've come across a lot of senior people who get confused with cell referencing. Okay, and you will find it that although the concept is easy, but applying is difficult. Right? So if anybody is joined in late, please do feel free to use the chat box to get any assistance. My colleague Arnav is there in the workshop, so he'll be there to assist you. And because I will be teaching, so I might not be able to attend to your questions. Right now, what is this? It is nothing. It is just random numbers and letters. Okay, and we are dealing with spreadsheets. Okay, it does not have to be Excel. It can be any worksheet. Okay, so whether it's something given by Apple or whether it's a Google worksheet, the concept of a spreadsheet remains same. Okay, now in a spreadsheet, obviously you can see on the top corner, on the top side, you see all these letters, right? Now these are called as columns, and on the left hand side, you see numbers, and these numbers are called as rows. Okay, so rows and column, right? That's it. But beyond that, whenever we do any calculation in Excel, what do? We go to a particular cell. So if I come to this cell where my cursor is pointed out, you see this green part, right? So my cursor is in this cell. Now every cell has an address. Okay, so what is the address for this cell? You can clearly find the intersection of the letter G and the number 11. So the reference out here is what? G11. All right. Now, just keep doing with me. Uh, it will be easier to understand as opposed to just observing. So I put in a equal to sign, and what I'm going to do is, as soon as I put in an equal to sign, I'm going to take my cursor, just take your mouse, all right, and select 100. Okay, just put it on this cell. Just put your cursor on 100. Okay, just take your mouse out there, and you can see here it shows what I just told you, right? F and 6. F is the column, 6 is the row. right? Now you press enter. Okay, just don't do anything. Just press your return key, which is the enter key. It shows you 100. Now you might say that, okay, what is so great in that? If nothing is great in that, now something great is going to happen. Okay, and I will ask you a follow-up question on that. Now what I do is, once I have selected 100, I'm going to press Control C. Okay, so Control and C, obviously, in every Windows application, it means copy. So I have just copied a formula. All right. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come 2 cells to the right. Okay, 2 cells. I'm going to skip one cell out here in between. I'm going to paste it here. Now, again, in any Windows function or anywhere in the world, in any system, once we put Control V, it means pasting. So I'm going to paste the formula in I11, right? This is I11. So let's go ahead and press Control and V. Simple stuff. What happened? It showed me 102. What happened? Can anybody explain? Do not tell me the normal stuff. I know that you selected 100 here, but it came 102, so 102 is here. I know that. But what happened logically behind the code of Excel? See, Excel is a coded language. Okay. At the back of it, there is obviously a lot of lines of code which are written. So can anybody quickly, if they understand, if they want to contribute to the discussion, can you quickly explain logically what happened in the chat box? Quickly. Okay. If you understand, do let me know. If you don't understand, there's no problem. I'm going to explain it as it is. Okay. Now, what happened in reality is, when I selected 100 for the first time, remember, when I press equal to sign, okay, when I press equal to sign, and I took my cursor, my mouse, 200, and I pressed 100, okay, I pressed enter. The code which got written was 1 step up, 2 step up, 3 step up, 4 step up, 5 step up, and 1 step to the left. Okay, so 5 step up, 1 step to the left. Okay, now when I copy this to the right, just try and look, does it match? 1 step up, 2 step up, 3 step up, 4 step up, 5 step up, 1 step to the left. Okay, so that's the code which got recorded when you first selected 100 using a cursor. Okay, so the code which got written is this. Now let's see. You might say that, okay, so what is great in that? Okay, nothing is great in that again. But let's try to change the code. Okay, this is when you will start appreciating Bill Gates for writing such a beautiful language, right? So if I press an equal to sign again out here, and I select 102, okay, the code which again gets written will be different. This will be 1 step up, 2 step up, and 1 step to the left. No matter where you copy this again, it is going to follow the same code. So let me copy this and show you. Let's say I press Control C again. Okay. And let's say we go out here, okay, in E9. And if I paste it out here, what will happen? Same thing. See what was the code here? 1 step up, 2 step up, 1 step to the left. Same thing out here. 1 step up, 2 step up, 1 step to the left. Basic concept of relative referencing. Okay. Now, so relative, okay, means when I copy it here, using the relative calculation, it shows me 100. But when I copy it to another cell, it automatically changes the relation and it shows 102. Okay. Now, if you're new to Excel, if you're very newbie to Excel, if you want to see the referencing, the easiest way to look at the formula is to double click on the cell. So when you double click on the cell, it will open up and it will show you the reference. Okay. Otherwise, there's a shortcut key for that available. The shortcut key to do the same thing, which I just did using my mouse, would be to use the F2 key. Okay. What is the key? F2. So if you press F2 on any cell, it will show you the reference. Okay. Now, let's build on this. Okay. Now, is this useful all the time? Like, for example, if I selected 100, and now let me just get rid of all this data out here, and let us focus on our initial example of selecting 100 and then copying to the right. It's not always useful. Okay, it's not always useful that whenever I copy it on any cell, it is showing me 100 or 102, or it's changing. What if I copy this formula out here, I want to still show 100, right? Now that is something we cannot deal with if relative referencing always works, right? And that's when we need something called as fixing the reference. Okay, fixing the reference. That means for a second, I want to tell Excel that don't do this code again. Keep showing 100 wherever I copy. Okay. Now that's where we come to the concept of a dollar sign. Okay, what is dollar sign? It's nothing. It's nothing related to currency. Okay. What it means is, let's first go to that 100, wherever we have written the 100. Okay, the first reference that we've selected. Let's press F2 there or double click on that. So your formula should be visible. It should show F6, right? Or whatever, whichever cell you've selected, right? Now, if I want to fix the reference, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my shortcut key, which is F4. Okay. Okay. F for Foxtrot and the number 4. So let's press F4. In case this does not work for you, it might mean that your keyboard is structured in a different way. So you might have to use the function key out there. Okay. Function key is just next to your control function. Okay. In your keyboard. So if F2 does not work directly, what you do is you press Fn and then press F4. Okay. That's just because of your keyboard being structured in a different way. You might have, brightness, or you might have sound functions in your F keys. Okay. So now you can see, as soon as I pressed F4, I got $2. Okay. Now let's build on the first concept of a spreadsheet. What is F and what is 6? F is column, right? And 6 is the row, right? Now, when we have a dollar before F and before 6, so you can clearly see out here, you've got a dollar before 6 and you've got a dollar before F. What this means is, no matter where I copy this in Excel, whether it's vertical or horizontal, it will still show 100. Okay, let's press enter and let's try it out. Let's press Control C. Okay, if I copy it one step up, it will show me 100. If I copy it one step down, it still shows me 100. If I copy it to the right, it shows me 100. And if I copy it to the left, also it shows me 100, which basically means all movements are restricted. That means this referencing will never change. Okay, so there are two extremes. One place we are saying it should change all the time, whether I copy it left, right, it should keep on changing. On the other hand, I'm saying it should not change at all. Okay, it should not change completely. So this is the other extreme. Okay, shortcut again, F4. Now, hold on. Press F4 again. Now, this is where customization is happening, okay? Now, you can see here that there is a dollar before 6 now, right? Which means I want to fix the vertical referencing. That means I don't want it to come from 6 to 7. Okay, because if you see here, 100 is in which row? 100 is in the 6th row, right? And I put a dollar before 6. That means if I copy it down, okay, then it will not come from 100 to 12. Let's try it out. Let's copy this down one step. And you see here, it did not come down. That is vertical referencing has been fixed. Okay. Now, let's press one more time dollar sign. I mean, F4. I'm sorry. So let's press F4 again. Now you see there is a dollar before F. What does this mean? This means that now, if I copy it to the right, it should not change from 100 to 5 or 100 to 899. Okay, let's try it out. Press enter. Copy to the right, it does not change. Copy to the left, it does not change. But if I copy it down, it is supposed to change, right? So if you see here, since there is no dollar sign before 6, what I've communicated to Excel is that it should not, it should come from 100 to 12. It can go from 100 to 0, but it cannot go from 100 to 899 or 100 to 5. Okay, so let's see. When I copy it down, it shows me 12. Fantastic, right? If I copy it above, it shows me 0, right? So this is 3 different kinds of relative referencing which we just discussed. And I'm sure some of you, especially working professionals, we get in practical finance a lot of working professionals who join in our class, and I would like to thank them for joining this. But we must have used dollar sign at least once in our life if we're working professionals, right? But what we have not done, or I would be glad if somebody is able to solve this puzzle, the next puzzle that you're going to be solving is on the same concept, okay? So we discussed 3 kinds of dollar sign. Let me just summarize it so that everybody, even if they've joined in late, can relate to this, okay? So 3 kinds of dollar sign, okay? So first one is column and row, both are fixed. The second dollar sign which appears is the row is fixed, but column is moving. And the third is row is moving, but column is fixed. Okay. Now, what would it look like? It would look something like this. F6. So there would be a dollar before 6, and there would be a dollar before F. This is how it will look. The second would look something like this. There would be a dollar before 6, but there will be no dollar before F. The last one would look something like this. There would be a dollar before F, and there will be no dollar before 6, right? Now, what is the shortcut? So this is how visual it looks. And the shortcut is F4. Okay. And the fourth summary is how do you open up a formula bar? Okay. Opening. Whenever you want to check the reference, open the formula bar. So the shortcut for that is F2. Okay, in your keyboards. This is your shortcut. Let me know if you are with me. Just type in with me if you are with me. Okay, you following? Just write with me in the chat box so that it gives me the confidence to move on to the next topic. Especially people who join in late. I'm so sorry I could not introduce you. I could not speak to you. Okay, so with me, a lot of people are with me. Wonderful. Okay. Anytime, if you guys have any trouble, Do put it in the chat box. If I'm going fast, if I'm going slow, if you're getting bored, you're free to express. Okay. This is a normal class. This is not a workshop. Sorry, this is a class. It's not a webinar. Okay. So you don't have to be really formal. Now, using this concept, can you solve a puzzle? Is what I'm going to give you. So let's go to the next sheet, which is relative referencing puzzle. Okay. Anybody who can solve this for the first time, I'm going to allow you to attend my main course, okay, which is priced at about 9,900 at 50% off, okay, if you're able to do it at the first time. But leaving that aside, let me explain you what this puzzle is about. How many of you are from finance? Tell me in a chat box if you're from finance. Just write finance. And if you're not from finance, just don't write anything. Okay, wonderful. So I think you will be able to relate with what I'm going to say now. Okay. People who are not from finance, I'm still going to explain that. This, whatever we teach, okay, it does not matter which background you come from, first of all. Finance is for everyone. Trust me, I'm 11th, 12th science student. Imagine what I might have to go through when I entered first year of commerce, right? So it's not a big deal. Okay. Now, what have I written here? I've written here revenue as 1,000. What is revenue? You sell a product, you generate the cash or the amount that is called as revenue, right? What is the cost? It's the cost to make this revenue of 1,000, right? So what I'm saying out here in this cell is that I generated 1,000 rupees of revenue, okay? And for it, my cost was 200. I can clearly see there is some calculation going on here. There is some calculation going. So what did I show you on the shortcut, how to open and check the reference? The shortcut was F2. So let's click F2 and you will be able to see the referencing happening. Okay. Right. So you can see the referencing happening. So what it is doing is multiplying 1,000 and it is multiplying with 20%. Right. Now, let's look at what calculation has been done on 800. Again, what is the shortcut key to open the reference? Press F2. So you can see here, what is the formula? It is revenue minus cost. Okay. Now, it is not about this. The puzzle is not about this. Okay. What we're going to do is, rarely does in life things happen according to one assumption. Okay. What is the assumption out here in the left hand side? That revenue is 1,000 and cost is 20%. It is not necessary that in real life business has to function like that. So what usually analysts and traders and portfolio managers, name it, okay, they would like to test scenarios. What would happen if, okay? So you can clearly see here, I have created multiple scenarios of revenue, all the way ranging from 1,000 to 2,073, right? So 1,000, the revenue can be 1,000, the revenue can be 1,200, the revenue can be 1,440, right? So multiple scenarios. Similarly, on the vertical column, right, on the G column, I have written cost. So cost does not necessarily have to be 20%, right? Which we have seen in the first assumption. It can be 22.5, it can be 25, it can be 27.5, right? So what we want to do is we want to repeat the profit calculation in this entire area, which I have marked now, but using one formula only. I don't want to go into every cell and repeat the calculation. Okay. I just want to write one formula out here in this small little cute cell. And if I copy it across all the cells, it should do my calculations correctly. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to make it a little easier for you. Okay. I'm going to write the basic formula, but you're going to put the dollar sign. And whoever is able to put it correctly for the first time, okay, put the dollar signs correctly, put the referencing correctly. Trust me, I'm going to give you my course for 50%. Okay, you can join my batch for 50%. Okay, peanuts. Let's say is equal to, let me link revenue, that is the calculation, right? Revenue minus cost. So H2 is revenue, so I selected H2 minus, open the bracket, shift and 9. Shift and 9 will open up your normal brackets, okay? The reason why you have to use brackets is because Excel follows the BODMAS rule. I hope you remember the BODMAS rule. When I completed my graduation, I did not know what was BODMAS, okay? So it's okay not to know. BODMAS means bracket, open, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So it will follow an entire process. So my revenue is, my profit calculation is revenue minus link 20% multiply. So the multiplication sign somewhat looks like a star in Excel. Okay. So you put shift and 8, which will give you the multiplication sign. And again, click on revenue. So would you agree this is the formula for profit? If you agree, type in the chat box that you agree. Just write agree. Right? Wonderful. Now, this is where I want you to get your concepts which we learned in the previous sheet and do some magic. Okay. So, okay. Now, I don't want you to post anyone to post the answer on the common chat box. Okay. If you know the answer, put it on my private chat box. So I'm able to show you how exactly it works. Okay. So do not put it in the comment chat box. I think Saurabh does not agree with me. Can you please, Saurabh, do give me an explanation if this is not the profit calculation? If you have a different opinion, I would love to discuss it with you. But let's just quickly check. This is what the answer comes. And if you see here, 800 and 800 is what we get, right? However, what I want you to do is, now if I copy this, we're not going to go into every cell and copy the formula, right? That's a very tedious task to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Control C, and you can see that the cell is highlighted now. What we're going to do is press Shift. Okay, press Shift. Shift is to select multiple areas, right? So press Shift, select right arrow keys to select, right, till L column, and then press down arrow keys. You're pressing Shift, do not leave Shift, and your selection has been done, right? Now you press Control V. It goes for a toss, right? It goes for a toss. Why does it go for a toss? Because your referencing has changed. Okay. Now this is where I want you to do something. This is where the puzzle is. I want you to use the appropriate dollar signs. Appropriate dollar signs, which I showed you in the last cell. Remember this 3 different kinds of dollar signs. So what you got to do is you got to go into the relative, go to and open this formulas and put appropriate dollar signs, so that if you copy it again, just like how I copied it, it should give you the right answer. Okay. I'm going to give you exactly 3 minutes to figure this out. Anybody who I'm willing to, I will be happy enough to see someone who is able to crack this at the first time. So far has not happened. I would be love to be surprised, and post it in your personal, in my personal chat box. Okay, do not press, so that everybody gets a chance. And let me see, some people have sent it to me. Okay, okay. So Karan and Naveen and okay, Saurav, I think that's incomplete right now. You need to give it another shot. But Karan and Naveen, I think you guys have got it right. So let me check. So you've put a reference on, okay. I don't want to speak it out right. Okay. And G, okay, G, you put in this dollar sign. So Karan and Naveen, fantastic job. Okay. Wonderful, and you get that 50% off. Okay, you can contact Arnav for claiming that whenever you would like to join. Okay, but wonderful. So my experience is that I've gone into corporate training sometimes, and uh, I always used to play this game, and I'm surprised that actually two people. I mean, this is fantastic. Yeah, two people actually been able to figure this out for the first time. Wonderful. All right, guys, rest of them. Okay, I'm not gonna spill out the answer. I'm gonna wait till 17:36. It's okay, 17:35 right now. Okay, I'm gonna give 17:37. Okay, so I'm gonna wait till 7:37, which is about 2 minutes away, and I'm gonna let you out. Okay, leave the game apart, but I'm sure you will appreciate, especially people who are working with Excel for the first time. Okay, Akanksha has something for me. Okay. Akanksha, why don't you do just one thing? Just put up the formula in the chat box, in my personal chat box, because the reading the text is becoming consistent, and I'm getting a lot of messages. Prerna, you just missed out a little bit on that. I think you've just reversed it. I don't want to spill it out, but you just missed it out by some margin. But nevertheless, the answer is wrong, so you need to try it out again. Okay, so Prerna, just give it another shot. I think we'll get it. Akanksha, just send me the formula itself directly. Just put it in the text in formula terms so that it's easier. Okay, so it's 7:37. Okay, anybody else wants to give it a shot? Okay, so it's 7:37. If there are no other answers, I'm gonna just let out the secret and give you the solution for this. Okay, uh, do not uh, do not worry much about the 50% off. But yes, anyways, Karan and so I mean Arnav, if you could just you know uh, Karan and I think who was that? I think Naveen. Yeah. So Karan, Naveen, please do give a personal chat to Arnav. He's the co-host in this meeting. To make sure that you reserve your discount code, he will give you separately. Okay. And thanks for that prompt. Thanks for the effort, actually. Okay. So let me explain the concept. Okay. Uh, in any Excel formulas, even in the future, it's not just about relative referencing, but any complicated formulas you deal with. The fundamental thing to remember, okay, the fundamental thing to remember is to try it out. Okay, make the mistake. Okay, let's try to see one by one what exactly is happening. Okay, so we're going to keep this simple. Let's Control C. Let's copy the formula and go one step to the right. Okay, let's go one step to the right and paste it. Okay, and let's press F2 to see what exactly happened. Why is this showing an error? Right? Obviously, this can't be the answer, right? So it clearly is visible that the answer is wrong. So let's press F2. Okay. Now, anyone who was not able to do it, tell me. I'm going to ask a specific question. Okay, just answer that. In the red reference, which is the red reference? The H, right? Anything related to H3, what is going wrong? In the red reference, what is the mistake that we made? Or what is the mistake that is happening? Look at it closely. In the referencing, what is the mistake? If you had to explain it in a very layman terms, what is happening is it is selecting 800 instead of 20%, right? I think some of you actually got that right in explanation. right? So it should be actually selecting 20%, but it's actually selecting 800, right? So what do we want to fix? In a very textual term, if I have to write, I want to make sure that this reference 20% does not move from G to the H column, right? I don't want it to move. So if I go to the original formula, which is this, right? I don't want this red reference to move from G to H, correct? Now, but I want the movement from 3 to 4, right? Do you agree with that? You want the movement from G to H to be restricted, but you want the movement from 3 to 4 because when you copy this formula down, you want this to change to from 20% to 22.5 to 25, right? So if I look at my previous sheet, which is the dollar sign that I should be using? I've got $3 signs here. One is row is fixed, column is moving. Row is moving, column is fixed. Which one of these two should I be using? Okay. Keeping that in mind, the fact that I don't want this from changing from 20% to H column. So I don't want it to go from G to H. It's going to be the column dollar sign, right? And if you, sorry, I'm so sorry. I used this. I'm talking about G3. Oops. Let's just remove this. Yeah. So G3, I was willing to put a column dollar sign, right? Now let's see if this actually makes the correction happen. Okay. Let's press enter. Now let's copy it to the right. Now is the calculation happening correctly? Right? Because if you see here, it has not moved from 20% to 800. Fantastic, right? Now let's take the same formula from 960 and paste it in fourth row. Okay, let's place it on the fourth row. Now let's see what is wrong happening. What is the mistake that is happening? The blue reference has moved from 1000 to 800, right? We don't want that to happen, right? We want this to be fixed at 1000. That means which is the movement that I'm trying to fix? The vertical movement. And what is the other meaning of vertical? It means row, right? So in the relative referencing sheet where I explained you different kinds of dollar sign, the next dollar sign that we're going to use is the dollar before 6 and no dollars before F, right? So let's put that across in the original formula. Let's put the dollar for fixing the vertical movement, which is putting a dollar sign before 2. Okay. I hope those who got it right, this is what the answer was for you also. I suppose yes. Karan and matches. Perfect. Okay. Now, what we're doing is let's press enter. So our formulas is corrected. Press Control C. Okay, again, press Control C. Press Shift. Okay, I can hear someone. Press Control C. Let's select the entire cells. Shift and use your arrow keys. Okay, just press Shift and use your arrow keys, and press Control V. So now what you did is you calculated your profit, okay, for all the possible scenarios. Okay. Is there a different way? Now let me just, I usually do this in the second class, but I don't want you to keep waiting for the second class. Okay. Is there a simpler way of doing this? Can anybody break out the secret in the chat box personally? Okay, do not just put it in the common box, because I might have something to give it to you. Any simpler way of repeating this calculation without putting dollar signs and figuring out the movement, etc.? Anyone? in my personal chat, guys. Okay, wonderful. So somebody got it right. Okay, so as Naveen pointed out, we can use something called as the data table. So let's get everything out of the way. Okay, let's get out of the way. Now what we're going to do is there is a function which is created by Excel which can help us do this without much effort. Okay, but for that what we got to do is, if you see between these two cells there is a blank cell available out here, right? Let me just change the color so that you are able to, oops, this color is not good. Yeah, this color. So you can clearly see there is one cell which is empty between this data point and these data points, right? A blue cell. What we're going to do is we're going to press equal to sign and we're going to link the calculation which we want to repeat in this table. Okay, which we want to repeat in this table. So let's go to the left and let's link 800 because this is the calculation which we want to repeat. Now it's not visible out here because it's a blue cell. So let me just change the color again. Let's see if the red will work. Yeah. So you can clearly see here I've selected B5. Okay. Selected B5, press enter. Okay. Once you selected B5, now watch closely, people who have not worked in data table before. Okay. Let's use our cursor, put it on 800. Okay. Let's put our cursor on 800. Use our shift and arrow keys to select the cells exactly the same way. Okay. People make mistakes with data table because they tend to do something like this. This is not what we want to do. We want to keep all the assumptions and the data on the corners. So the way to know it is, are all your assumptions in the corner of your table, right? You can see here, it's on the corner of my table, right? On the horizontal and the vertical axis, right? Now what you do is, go up in your Excel toolbar. You can see here, there is something called as data. Okay. There's formula, there's data, there's review, there's insert, right? You will see data out here. And let's click on what if analysis. On the right hand side of your data tab, you will see something called as what if analysis. Okay. And just click on this and you will get three options: scenario manager, goal seek, data table. All of these are useful functions. Goal seek and scenario manager are also fantastic functions, okay, which we will learn probably in the main course. But data table is what we're gonna focus on. Okay, so let's click on data table. Just left click on data table, okay? And you should see a pop-out. And the pop-out will ask us row input cell and column input cell. What it's basically asking you is, Excel does not know what are the assumptions on the corners of your table. It really does not know, right? So it's exactly asking you the same thing. What is in your row, which is which? Revenue. Revenue is in my row. What is in my column? Cost as a percentage of sales is what is in my column. So in the row input, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the left. Okay. In the row, we have revenue, remember? So where is revenue in my original calculation? Out here. Right. So I'm going to select that. D3, done. Okay. Now let's click on column input. Let's click on column input. What is there in my column? For this assumption, 20%. Right? In my original calculation, where is the cost? It's out here. Let me select that. So B3 and C4 are my row and column input respectively. Okay. Now what Excel is going to do is, logically, if you think what it's actually doing is, you have shown in this cell how to do this calculation, 800. You have given what assumptions are there in the original table. Now what Excel is going to do is, it's going to exactly do what you did manually, but in a much easier way. Okay, now let's press OK. There you go. Excel just repeated all of your functions, all of your calculations in a matter of a click multiple times. This is called as data table, and this is also called as sensitivity analysis in finance. Very useful. We use it practically in trading because although we have used a very simple example out here, in trading, especially in quant trading, uh, this data table takes almost 6 hours to calculate uh, the entire output. So imagine the amount of calculations which are running on behind, right? So put it in the chat box if you're with me. Just write with me. If you're not with me, write not with me. Okay. So Sanya is with me. Naman is with me. Wonderful. Saurav is not with me. I'll explain it again. Don't worry. What about the rest? Are you guys with me? Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to, for the entire audience, I'm just going to repeat this again. Okay. I'm just going to repeat this quickly again. Although I'm going to also share the recording of this class. Don't worry. So what I'm going to do is you always have a blank cell. Whenever you create a matrix, right, you are left with one blank cell, which is adjacent to these two rows and columns, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to just link the original final calculation, okay, the final calculation that we want to repeat out here. The final calculation that we want to repeat out here is 800, right? So we're going to select 800. Okay, so B5, as you can clearly see, B and 5 is my profit. Right? Press enter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select from 800, select, put your cursor on 800, use the shift and arrow keys. It's always good to use the shift and arrow keys, it's much easier. There are other shortcuts also available, but I don't want to get into that because what we want to learn is financial analysis and valuation, not really Excel shortcuts. Okay. So if you see here, I've selected in such a way that these assumptions are on my corners. All the calculation assumptions are on my corners, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on data, right? So if you see on the top, you've got home, insert, page layout, formulas, data. Come on data and click on what if analysis. Okay, just beside the forecast sheet, you will see data what if analysis. And out of these functions, these are all scenario based functions, but we're going to stick to data table for now. So let's click data table. Okay. Now, what it's asking us is in this table, it can identify that something is written on the second row, which is revenue. But Excel does not know that it's revenue, right? So what we're going to show Excel is in our original calculation, where is revenue? So revenue is here. So I showed Excel, it's B3, right? So that is what it's asking by row input. So what is in my row number 2? Similar way, what it's asking the next is what is there in your column? Where is this 20% in your original calculation? So if you see here, my original calculation 20% is written out here in C4, right? Now what Excel is going to do is, since it knows where the data, where these assumptions are in the original calculation, it's going to repeat this multiple times without any manual calculation. Okay, so press OK. There you go. Okay, I hope that helped, Saurabh. All right, let's move. Who wants to learn more? Write more. If you want to learn more, type more. If you're saying we are done for today, just say I'm done for the day. Okay, just say done. Okay, I usually ask this because, you know, done for the day. Okay, So Akshay is saying done for the day, and rest everybody is saying more. So Akshay, I think we'll have to just stick with the majority. Okay, I'm so sorry. But yes, if you would like to watch the recording, you can watch the recordings. All right. So now with that, let's move into the next Excel. Okay. Hmm. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to not work with zero level Excel part 2 right now. Instead, let's go to a little bit of finance. Okay. So that it does not get monotonous. Okay. So let's start with TVM sheet. How many of you can see the TVM Excel in your folder? Just open that. Okay. All right. So what you need to do is you need to just start your TVM sheet. This is how it's going to look like. Okay. I'm just taking a break from Excel. We'll come back to Excel again, but possibly tomorrow. Today we're going to cover a little bit of finance, majorly financial mathematics, rather than actually accounting. Although in the main course you will learn accounting from the basics. So let's open the TVM sheet. Whenever you are ready, just type in ready and I will start. Just type in ready whenever you are ready. Wonderful. So most of us are ready. Okay. Now, how many of you, okay, see, I try to teach things in real life perspective more than from a job perspective, because if you try to apply it in your own life, the job thing will happen by itself. Okay. So how many of you invest in an SIP or SIP, or you have a home loan which you pay, or let's say any investments that you've done? How many of you consistently have been investing in SIP, real estate in the form of EMIs, right? Or let's say a lump sum investment which you've done somewhere else, or you've invested in stock. How many of you have done that? And you can put this in a common chat box so that we understand what is the situation of our basic understanding of finance. Okay, that's an open question. Anybody can answer. Okay, I'm not selling you mutual fund products, by the way. This is just to explain time value of money. How many of you consistently invest in mutual fund? So I'm assuming that probably nobody does. Okay. So more or less, it will be even more insightful for you to understand what time value money can do. Okay. So if you see the first sheet, you see here, I've written 3 years. I put in 2021, I put in 2001, I put in 2041, right? Now, let me ask you this question, a personal question to you, okay? What can you do today with 1 lakh? The general answer that I get, or probably if you have to relate to a product, purchasing power, you could actually buy a nice iPhone, right? What you could do with 1 lakh if you had it in 2001, probably you could have bought a flat. Okay, the value I'm saying, okay, not the number. The number is always 1 lakh. But what can you do in 2001 versus what could you do in 2021? There is a stark difference. Okay, what happened? How did the purchasing power change? Why could you actually buy a nice 3 BHK flat in 2001 with 1 lakh in a metro city, whereas in 2021 you can just buy an iPhone. What happened? Can anybody explain? Can anyone explain what exactly happened between these two times? Inflation happened, right? Inflation happened, and inflation is real. Okay, no matter we may say, okay, that's just 6%, but there is an effect of compounding which happens, okay, which we never actually uh, give a lot of attention to. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, this is something that I understood when I actually met one of these wealth managers. Okay, I'm sure most of us have heard this term wealth managers, and fortunately, I mean, he had been actually dealing with a lot of large clients for many years, and he came across one investor, not exactly an investor, but a guy in his 80s. Okay, so there was this guy in 80s who ended up, okay, he ended up not being able to pay for his medicines, and unfortunately, he had a terrible end. Why did this happen? So the story does not end here. There was a diary which he used to maintain on all his investments. Okay, and that's where it became clear. All of his money was in. Can you guess? All of his money was in. Yes, fixed deposit. Does this come as a surprise to you? How many of you have family members uh, very close by who at least have one fixed deposit? Tell me in the chat box. Right. And what is the return that we generally make in an FD? What is the current rate of fixed deposit? Can anybody guess? If we talk about a normal, good quality bank, what is the usual fixed deposit rate? All right. So someone is saying somewhere between 4 to 5%, somebody is saying 6.25%, right? Correct. And do you think you will be able to beat inflation with this? Correct. So if you're not able to beat inflation, so let's assume that in a metro city, year on year, the inflation stays at 8%. Okay, so this is inflation on one side. And you've got your money return in FD, which is making about, let's say, 5 to 6% on an average. Okay. What is happening every year? Every year, your money is degrowing because it's not even being able to beat the inflation. So basically, it is reducing your purchasing power by 3% every year. Okay, 3% is a big term. Okay. Now, if you actually put this in numbers, let me just show you quickly. Click on the compounding effect. No, sorry. Come to the rate sheet. Let's see this in practice. Okay. This is where finance has to become real to you. Then you understand its application. If you see in my rate sheet, I have assumed that there are 4 people who have same money. 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh. Okay. One guy goes and starts his business and he's able to generate 20%. 20% is fine if you're starting a new business. It's not something very unheard of. Okay. New business, okay, let's say some struggle initially, 15%. Equity markets, generally you can make about 12 to 15% basis how much risk you take. Let's see what happens at the end. And fixed deposit, I'm assuming 4%. Okay, average. Let's see in a matter of 20 years, if you just scroll down, what happens? Your FD has increased from 1 lakh to 2 lakhs in 20 years. Okay. Not a short time, 20 years. What has happened in case of an existing business? It's gone 38 times. Okay, it's increased 38. This is 0.38 CR, by the way. Okay, this is crore. This calculation, I'm just trying to simplify it. So I've just divided this by 10 raised to 7. I mean, 7 zeros. Your new business, if you had started a business, you would have at least gone 16 times. But in FD, you've just gone twice in 20 years. Now, does this make sense that how come he was not able to pay for his medicine? Imagine living through all these years and your money degrowing by 3% every year. The compounding effect takes you to a big low in your life. Okay. So this is why time value of money, understanding time and value of it is very important. Okay. Now, let's see how the compounding effect actually looks like. Why is compounding so important? Let's look at it visually. Okay. Let's say you invested 1 lakh. Okay. So principal amount is 1 lakh. Okay. Now, if let's say we are, doesn't matter how many periods we have, okay, how many years we have. We are just saying it can be 1 year between this and this. It can be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, doesn't matter. But let's say between those two periods, we made a 2% interest or return, right? Whatever. What exactly happens? So you retain the principal of 1 lakh here, but you make an extra 2,000, right? What happens in the next period? You retain this again, 1 lakh and 2,000 became your principal and you retain that, so it's here. But these two values again generate another 2%. So the 1 lakh again generates one more 2%. And the 2,000 again generates 2%. Right? In the next period, you retain all of this, but again, these values generate another set of values. And this process continues. And this is compounding in real. That is why compounding is so important. So there is a saying by a big investor that if you understand compounding, it might be able to earn a lot of wealth. If not, you might end up paying for it. So the person which I took out here ended up paying the effect of compounding. A lot of others, including me, who understood time value of money, were able to buy their freedom. Okay. So it's very important that you, even if you don't understand anything, if you understand time value of money, it's going to be a lot of it. Does this help? How many of you find this helpful? Type in my personal chat box that you like this or you didn't know this. Just send me a personal chat. How many of you understood what I said and you think probably it adds value to you? Just type in value in my personal chat box. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, Naman, for that. Okay. So now let's understand how do we even calculate this. Okay. Wonderful. So that means you've got to use these concepts and get your finances right. Okay. Now let's come to the compounding effect sheet again. I'm sure a lot of us have, done finance before and we have come across many formulas. Can we, and you don't have to remember any formulas. All formulas are derived. And it is derived by observing what happening. Okay. What is happening. You just need to observe what is happening and then you can just summarize it using a formula. A formula is nothing but a summarization of what is going on. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to summarize what exactly happened during these many periods in the form of a formula, but we're going to derive this. So let's see what's happening. Okay. Between two periods, if you see 1 lakh and this 1 lakh and 2,000, what exactly happened? This happened. So you did 1 lakh into 2% plus 1 lakh This is what happened, right? Because you retained the principal of 1 lakh and you generated 2% on that 1 lakh. This is what happened. And this happened for one period, and hence you made 1 lakh 2,000. Okay. So for now, can I write this observation in terms of a formula like this? What is this 1 lakh and when am I having it? I'm having it today. So this 1 lakh can also be called as present value. Right? So I can call this as present value because this is what I have today. Multiplied by, what is this 2%? 2% is rate, right? The rate of return, the interest rate, the compounding effect, whatever you want to call it, right? Plus, what is this 1 lakh again? It's PV, present value. So if I try to simplify this by taking PV as common, my formula would look like PV into 1 plus R, because I just took PV as common, right? But this happened only for one period. So what I can do is I can write raised to 1. But if it happens for 2 periods consistently, I can write it as 2. If it happens for n number of times, I can also write it as n. Right? What are we trying to find out? What is this 1,02,000 that we get in the next period? It's the future value because it's going to happen in the future. So my future value is equal to present value into 1 plus R raised to n. This is how the formula was derived. You will never have to remember this formula anytime again, right? So that's future value and present value, right? Now, and the rate we just discussed, 2%, right? And n number of times it's repeating, right? Now, the second question to ask is, is there a function in Excel to do that? Of course there is, right? So what you could do is you could just type in equal to, open the FV function, the future value, right? The initials of what you wanted to find out, FV, open the bracket. And now you can see it asks for different data. So first thing it's asking for is rate, 2%. Okay, comma. Now it's asking for n per. What does this n per mean? N per means number of periods. So how many periods are we talking about right now? In my first example, 1. So let me use 1. What is this PMT? So PMT is anything that repeats itself every month with the same amount, something like an SIP. Okay. So if in this example, instead of just investing 1 lakh once, if I was investing 1 lakh once plus every period, if I was investing, let's say 5,000, then this PMT would have been 5,000. Okay. But right now, since we don't have, we're going to put in as 0. And now let's put a comma. Now it's asking for us PV. What is PV? PV is present value. How much are we investing today? We are investing 1 lakh. Okay. We are investing 1 lakh. So since we are investing, it's going to get debited from my bank account and it's going to get credited into my portfolio. So in my bank account, it's going to be debited, and hence I'm going to put as minus 1 lakh. Okay. And type, I'm not going to get into that discussion right now, but let's just take 0 for now. Okay. Probably when we have time, I can discuss this. It's a long discussion. Okay. And I have to actually show you visually what exactly is happening. So you will get the same answer. So if you get this hash, what it's actually meaning is nothing wrong. Just go to the D column, between D and E column, and double click. So the function also repeated the same thing again. Okay, so you used FV function to find the future value. Same thing you can do to even find present value. Let's reverse this calculation. Let's say we know the future value and we want to find the present value. So instead of using FV, okay, and it's the same thing with this formula, you just have to rearrange. If you rearrange this formula, let me just take a blank space out here. It will look like PV is equal to FV divided by 1 plus r raised to 12, right? So again, let's use PV function, PV, okay? What was the rate? It is 2%. How many periods are we talking about? Only one. What is the PMT? Is there any other investment that we're doing every month with the same amount? No. So PMT is 0. What is the future value that we were supposed to get? 1,02,000. So I'm going to just directly select the value and type. For now, select 0. Most of my calculations are as ending period. I will explain that maybe later when we have time. So we should get 1 lakh. And you can clearly see the sign of that number is negative, which means investment. Investment will always be negative initially. Okay. Redemption is positive. How many are with me? Type in with me. Or with you. How many are with me? Just type in your chat box if you are good, if you understand what is going on. Okay, my personal chat box, okay? Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to teach you anything more today, okay? Because it's already 45 minutes that you've not, I mean, 1 hour, 15 minutes already that you've learned, okay? I'm going to continue this same class tomorrow. If you are willing to learn more, you can join me at 5 p.m. tomorrow again. But I'm going to leave you with one question that I think what you should do, you should go home and calculate this for yourself, okay? Just type in your expenses, all your expenses, current life, the kind of lifestyle you would like to live. Okay, don't go crazy, but type in what kind of a lifestyle you want to live today and get the total amount, total of it. Get the total of it. For example, you might say, I like to travel every month. So I need, let's say, about 50,000 for travel. Okay, so this is my travel expense. Let's say you say I spend about, in my grocery, I spend about 25,000. Okay. Let's say you always, not EMI, I don't want to put EMI and complicate your life. So let's say travel, grocery, and let's say you try to party. Okay. So you've got entertainment. And let's say you spend about 15,000 here and you get a total out here. Okay. So let's say you get a total of 90,000 per month is the kind of lifestyle minimum that I would like to live in my life. Okay. So 90,000 per month, if you would like to maintain this lifestyle, my next question would be, how much money, considering, okay, this, hold on. So this is my 90,000 per month expense. That means if you multiply this with 12, that means yearly, you would need at least 10 lakhs as income, even in the future, but inflation adjusted. Okay. So let's say today your age, whatever, just take your age, okay? Let's say I take my age as 32 and my retirement age, let's say, is about 60. So the number of years of God I have with me is 60 minus 32, which is 28 years. Okay, to do some magic so that I'm able to live this life without working. Okay, I don't want to work. So how much money would I have to save today so that at least by the age of 60, I'm able to manage it? Okay, now I'm going to give you some additional assumptions to this. The additional assumption which I'm going to give is inflation is about 6% on an average, is going to stay between your age and your retirement age. Okay, every year. Okay, and let's say the returns that you can make is about 12% annually. This is all annual. Okay. So the question is, how much, first of all, I would be needing at the age of 60, and backtracking the calculation in finding out how much would I have to save. That's a complicated two-part question. Try to solve it in two parts. First is find the future value of your expenses, annual expenses, after at the age of your expense. That's pretty easy, right? So the first step would be, I'll just write it down so that you won't go crazy on me that why did I use a complicated question. So first step is finding the future value of your current expense. Okay, very simple, just use your FE function. Okay, so the rate would be inflation rate, N per would be 28 years in my case. PMT would be, now this is where you would not use PMT, you would put 0 here. Okay, put PMT as 0. Your PV would be 10 lakhs. So this will tell you what your expenses will look like at the age of 60. Okay. First step is that. Second step would be to maintain that 10 lakhs as your annual income. Okay. You will get some obscene number here. Okay. Don't worry about it. That's real. That's the effect of compounding. Okay. Second is you will assume that you live for at least another 25 years after. 25 years to live post retirement. Okay. Now this is where the complication will start. So this is where your 10 lakh will become a PMT. Okay. So here your PMT will become your annual expenses. Okay. And what you're trying to find out is what is the present value of that at 60. If you can solve this much using whatever you learned today, I will give you an amazing applaud if you're able to do this. Okay. If you're not able to do that, not a problem. I will still explain you how to do it tomorrow. And this is how we will come to practical finance in using it in our own lives. Then it gets applied everywhere. Valuation is same. Every valuation concepts, DCF, relative valuation model, equity research, project finance, bidding for projects, all comes from this simple concept of time value. Okay. So if you understand it for your personal life, you will be able to relate, okay, this is what is happening in the business also. Okay. So how many of you want to attend tomorrow's class? Let me know in the chat box. Let me know in my chat box if you want to attend tomorrow's class. Okay, so give it a shot. Okay, give it a shot. Don't get bogged down. Don't abuse me because I left you halfway, because I don't want to really extend. I don't want you to have a headache on that. Give it a shot with an open mind. If it works, it will work. If it doesn't work, I'm going to explain it as it is. Okay, and I will catch up with you tomorrow. Okay, so thanks for attending. Okay, I would like to thank Akanksha, Akshay, Binil, Naman, Naveen, Prerna, Pushpalata, Sania. Thank you so much for, and Karan, who gave a fantastic answer at the start. I think he has left. So thank you all guys for joining in, and have a nice evening, and I will catch up with you tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.